opinions expressed on this show are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of the PFC Entertainment Network or any of the affiliates that make this show possible.
This is the Pure Fury Creations Entertainment Network.
On tonight's episode, are we on the brink of another postseason collapse with the Detroit Pistons? We look back on the week that was for the Detroit Tigers, a recap of the NFL Draft, all that and more as the Sports Reel podcast begins right now.
If it's in the headlines, on the first page or the last, it's fair game here on the Sports Reel podcast.
And we welcome you to the Sports Reel podcast, live on the PFC Entertainment Network, along with Tim Sheridan and Eric Mendal. I'm Jason Clouse. We certainly appreciate you joining us for the real reason why Tuesdays were invented. It is for this show right here. We've got a lot to talk about here this week. The good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between. Before we get to all that, Tim, Eric, it's good to see you guys. We have a very special guest that's going to be joining us right now. Tim, would you like to do the honors?
Yes, sir, I would. You saved my ass here, I think, about a week ago. So thank you very much. As we get into that, we got Addison from Two Guys, One Pod. And like I said, he saved my ass about a week ago because we had somebody back out of a show, which incidentally, you had DM'd me that day. And I'm like, shit, I got an opening like for Tuesday. Can you go? And you're like, yeah. So Addison, how you doing? Let us know where you're from, man.
Thank goodness I don't have a social life. But I am out here in Chicago. Addy, you can find me at Duckley Champ on all the socials. I am the two guys on the Two Guys One Pod Fantasy Football Show, along with AC Chev, and I am just hyped to be here. We actually also run a fantasy ranks platform. You can tell from the duck logo, but absolutely thrilled to be on with you guys. Love your content. I've been trying to branch out to talk more shows, so excited to be on this one. And I appreciate you guys having a Chicago guy on here because as a Detroit sports fan, I know that if I was from Green Bay, I wouldn't be getting on.
Oh, no,
well,
I just
would,
actually, we're really good friends.
Good.
Yeah. We're actually really good friends with a Green Bay guy that we collaborate with all the time. So
collab.
Yeah, we get along with everybody. You know, we might talk a little shit here and there, you know, but it's all in good fun. So that's what it's all about. But like I said, I appreciate you just getting on with us and saving our ass. But Eric, how's life been, man?
Good, busy. You know, still getting used to the new job and the schedule and all that. But just happy to be here. And the only thing we haven't had on here is a Minnesota's fan yet.
Oh, we're working on that because we're going to do a big NFC pre-season show with Fun Football Pod. So we've already got a Green Bay and a Chicago guy over there. Actually, speaking of them, I was on the Fun Football Podcast last night representing the Sports Reel Podcast, and it was a lot of freaking fun. You know, it was a little bit of just tiny amount of shit talking, you know what I mean? Just because, you know, you got a Detroit guy, a Green Bay guy, and a Chicago guy. You got to kind of get the licks in there. But really fun show to do last night. I also did catching up with Cody last night. We covered the NBA playoffs. But Jason, how you doing, man?
Splendid. Just loving life. You know? No, things are good. Well, I was until I just looked at the comments, but be that as it may. No, things are good. Busy as you can imagine. Um, it's an inside thing. Lori thinks that she's funny, and
Oh.
Oh, okay. I'm like, what are we looking at here, man?
I know. I'm trying to see it too.
It'll pop up here in just a second.
Yep, we see it. Oh, yep.
We did do a very special bonus episode on Sunday. And that is available right now on our YouTube channel exclusively. So head over to PFC Network on YouTube and you can see the interview in its entirety. Just a splendid time that was. But we do have a big show here this week. And Tim, you said before we came on the air here, like you have something you would like to talk with me about? I feel like I'm in trouble right now, and I'm not really sure why. Like my defense.
You are in trouble, Banana Boy.
It's Rocky Balboa. Show some respect. Okay, Rocky had a black and gold color scheme before he went red, white, and blue. I will not have you disparage.
Gold? I call that maize.
It is not. It is not. It is yellow. Okay.
Just a shade of yellow, Jason. All right, no,
yellow, Tim.
Okay. So elephant in the room. We got to talk about it because the fans of Sacramento have been calling you out.
Bring it.
All right. So first off, I don't know if you've checked out that TikTok post that I put out, but it's been blowing up and there's a shit ton of comments on there right now. And everybody's pretty much calling you out because they said that they are too expensive to go to. And then there's another half the comments going on saying it's super fucking cheap. What are you guys talking about? So I wanted, while we're on air right now, to settle this debate.
47 comments on that video. Holy crap.
I want to settle something on this debate. Jason, can you log on your little computer right there and see how much it costs to go to an A's game in Sacramento? Because everybody's saying it's one of the most expensive tickets in baseball. Then half the other people are saying that it's super cheap. Like one guy even posted receipts of $18 a piece per ticket. And then some people were bitching that they were charging $40. And it's like, you think 40 is bad, man? You should try going to a Detroit Tigers game, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Like,
or Cubs.
Yeah.
They're watching in California too, man.
Yeah.
You ain't getting Giants tickets for under $100.
No, yeah, and that's why I'm trying to figure this thing out because there's a lot of people calling Jason out on there. And the funny thing is, people don't even realize Jason actually did that for a buddy who lives in California that wanted him to cut a promo on the fans of Sacramento for not attending these games. Even though some of the comments are, pretty negative on the A's being there because they're just moving anyway. So why would they invest their time and money in to go see a team that's not going to stay there? So right. I kind of get that in a sense, but I want to know how much these tickets cost because I think people are maybe, full of it a little bit. Unless they're talking about like when frickin' the Dodgers or something. Dodgers come to town and they boost the ticket prices up for that, but what's an everyday ticket?
Okay, so we'll just use this one as an example because this is a higher market team. When they play the Yankees, it's trying to pull up right now. So this stadium is set up kind of like Pine Knob. Like they have lawn seats, okay? And they have your traditional chairs that, like we have at Comerica. Now I will say to go to see the Yankees play, the cheapest ticket is $131 on the lawn. That is
okay.
That is pricey. That is pricey.
Yes.
Now that's for the Yankees. Now let's see. Let's do the Indians. Or the Guardians, my bad. Now, with the Guardians, they're $41. Okay? $41 to go in.
People are bitching.
$41, Tim, to go see a Major League Baseball team in your backyard that you're only having for a very limited amount of time before they're moved to Las Vegas. This stadium, the way this thing is set up, like this is unique. This is badass. Why are and that's my whole thing. And you know, my buddy out there, like he's gone to a couple of these games, and he's like, where is the love affair? Especially in that part of town that the only thing Sacramento really has going for them are the Kings. You know, and let's be honest, you know, when you talk about the NBA, the Sacramento Kings are usually not at the top of the conversation. But you have a Major League Baseball team with rich history that you have on borrowed time. And if you, I mean, it's $41 fucking dollars. Now, I just don't think that's asking for too much. Now, to see the Yankees or to see the Dodgers, yeah, you're going to be paying more because those are your high market teams. Dodgers are the defending world champions. People are going to pay to see them. If Ohtani's pitching, shit, that's the hottest ticket in town, man. And people, I mean, these things go up to, well, this is the Cleveland game, but the most expensive one here is $170 to get into a premium seat on, you know, along the baselines. I don't think this is asking for too much in my view. So I mean, if your financial thing is where you cannot afford $41 and I have offended you, well, I apologize that I have offended you. But for those who can and still talking shit about not being able to afford to go to an MLB game in your backyard, that sounds like a you problem, if I can be honest.
No, I feel you. So Addison, you're from Chicago. We just got you a Cubs guy or you a White Sox guy?
His Cubs on his shirt.
Oh, he's a Cubs guy. Sorry, I didn't catch it. I'm blind.
We know.
Fuck yeah.
I got other memorabilia here. If it helps.
Yeah.
Jason's a big Cubs guy.
Oh, great team. Pretty much the most fun ballpark in America, in my opinion. Like, you get off the train
Love that
station, you're
ballpark.
right at field. It's pretty much the best experience. Yeah. Hey, don't hate seeing the Tigers game either. Don't get me wrong, but the Cubs are pretty great. Like, I love the way they get the atmosphere there. I'm kind of with Jason on this for the Sacramento end, though. Like, you got an opportunity to see this ball club for 1 year, like maybe 2. Get out there. I mean, I understand if you're an A's fan and you're sad that your team's leaving the city. Like, if that's your deal, totally understand. Like, you can be mad that a ball club owner is moving their squad, but if you're there in Sacramento, it's $40, dude. Get out to a game. If I could get Cubs tickets for $40 nowadays, I would be going every week. Like, I haven't been able to do that in 10 years.
Yeah, that's a given. And we talked about this before on the show and Jason is, you know, pretty salty about them leaving Oakland to begin with, you know what I mean? But the problem is if the fans would have went when they were there and spent the money, they wouldn't be leaving. You know what I mean? They're leaving to a market to make more money, and unfortunately, that's just the way that business works.
Well, what about the Oakland Raiders? They had fans there all the time.
They did, but they can get more fans in Vegas. It's a money game, dude. Like,
That's 100% all that boils down to. They sold out the fan base because they would get more money, and I realize that sports is a business too. Like, I could go into a whole fucking promo about this, but like, these major sports organizations have completely shit on the city of Oakland. And as far as the athletics are concerned, those owners could have used some of that profit to at least revitalize the stadium, one of the oldest ballparks in all of baseball. God damn it, Tim. I tell you what. Go see their fucking athletics while they're in your backyard. I mean, because if you're waiting for them to go to Las Vegas, if you think $40 is too much, if you think $130 is too much, wait till you see these prices that they're going to be charging once they move into their new digs in Vegas. No. What else?
I mean, don't blame me. I'm just telling you, you're getting some heat on. So, yeah, I mean, that's all I got there. I just wanted to bring that up because I wanted to settle the debate to see, if it was really that expensive to go. So,
In all
let's
seriousness, I do appreciate those who took the time to comment. I mean, that tells me, that tells us that what we're doing
A
is
lot of people
resonating,
did.
and I appreciate that. I truly do. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm having some technical issues here myself personally. My TV is
Addison,
messing up again, and I don't know why.
real quick, Wrigley Field. I took a tour of Wrigley Field a handful of years ago while I was in Chicago, and I'm here to tell you, man, like I have a massive love affair with like venues, like historic ones. Tiger Stadium, obviously for us, that was a cathedral. Walking through Wrigley Field was the closest anybody will ever get to experience what it was like in Tiger Stadium. The smells, the sounds, the atmosphere. That ballpark is a goddamn gem. I love that park so much. Just wanted to mention.
Dude, it's a cool place to go to. Like, and the sickest part about it is you go and see a game there, they go down the street right afterwards. So you're walking in, they have the entire city shut down. You can go to whatever bar you want.
Fair enough.
Fantastic. Just huge fan. Hey, can't advertise enough. I didn't think I'd be given the sponsorship travel ad to Chicago here, but certainly always down to.
All right. Well, since we're kind of leaning into the MLB thing here right at the top of the show, let's take a quick look at what the Tigers did last week as we pull up their results. More or less had their way with the Milwaukee Brewers in their 3-game set. Milwaukee took the first one 12-4, but then the Tigers would rebound 5-2 win on Wednesday, 5-4 on Thursday. And I said, coming into this series, the Milwaukee Brewers was, has been over the last few years one of those low-key dangerous teams that people don't take notice of until later on in the season. Meanwhile, they're chipping away and they're remaining relevant. They just don't have the national fanfare. And then they moved on to Cincinnati, where they had a little bit of an issue with the Reds. They lost 8. How the fuck did that wind up like that? They lost on Friday, lost on Saturday 9-2, and then they were able to salvage one on Sunday, 8-3 over the Reds. It was, by and large, Tim, this was a pretty successful week, although I did not anticipate that they would have the kind of issues with the Reds that they did. Were you able to catch any of the games this past week?
Well, you know that I didn't because I'm not paying that extra fucking money every fucking month just to be able to watch a team that we should get for free. And every time, so I just followed the damn score. So that's what I leave the MLB up to you, bro, because I'm getting sick of having to pay extra money just to watch anything. Like it's ridiculous. I am over it. But no, it was actually a pretty good week. Yeah, they did have a little bit of trouble with the Reds, but overall, pretty successful week. I believe right now that the Tigers are sitting in first place in that division. Am I correct?
You are correct in that. Yes.
Yeah, so
I mean, and before anybody starts, jumping on the bandwagon and rah, 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 and these are the first sons of bitches that will hop off during a 3-game losing streak. They are, in fact, as we sit here on April the 28th, a half a game on top of Cleveland in the AL Central. Now, to my surprise, at the bottom of this is not the White Sox, but it is the Kansas City Royals. Now, again, there's not a lot of games separating these two. It's not like a runaway at this point. But it's very interesting to see for the first time in a long time. Addison, I don't know how closely you follow the White Sox versus the Cubs. I got to believe they are on the radar. But this is the first time in a minute that the White Sox have not been in the basement.
Yeah, it really is. It's nice to see the ball club compete because we haven't gotten to for so long. They've been in such a rut. I've seen so many good players come and go out of the White Sox that I'm just happy to see that team having any sort of success. And given 12-17 doesn't feel that great, but I'd be happy to see them come anywhere close to 500 this year.
Do you find that to be optimistic? I mean, do you feel like that? You are obviously paying closer attention to this team. I mean, we pay attention to them when we're playing them, right? But given what they have this year, this is an improved ball club than what we've seen over the last 3 or 4 years?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit better. The hitting just isn't really there for them, and that's the thing that worries me. Like, gotten rid of so much talent and so much power that in that ball club where they're already kind of at an advantage, it's one of the bigger ones, that I'm kind of I don't really see it working out unless they can come up with a very solid pitching staff. And I think their pitching staff is average. So 500 feels optimistic to me. To be honest, I think 500 probably gets you close to the division league. It currently has Detroit there. So I'm not really going to hold my breath for the White Sox to put it together this year. But next year, they could spend some money in free agency. Chicago's still a big money market. The big thing that you need as an MLB team is to be in one of those good markets, given they might hit the salary cap next year. But either way, I'm willing to believe that ball club could improve going into the next season, maybe go on a bit of a run, bring up some prospects, and end up in the conversation.
I really appreciate your take on that. It's cool to get different perspectives from different fans in different parts of the country. Vinny, one of our friends, he's really paying attention to the Pirates right now. So, and the Pirates is another one of those teams that we haven't, really heard a lot about recently. But man, they're starting to put it all together right now, and they're playing some damn good baseball. Let's take a look at what the Tigers have coming up here this week.
Cubs did not need the Pirates playing well.
No, that's for sure. You know what's funny? Sidebar. I've been to Wrigley twice within a couple of years, and I've seen them play the Pirates both times. I would like to see. It just happened to be that's when I was in town, and the Pirates were in town. All right, let's take a look here tonight. They start the series, or they have the series with the Atlanta Braves before the weekend series with the Texas Rangers. And then next week, starting on Monday, another set with the Boston Red Sox. Now, it was just last week that we talked about the Tigers being able to split a 4-game set with the Boston Red Sox, who is, among the elite, one of those big marquee teams that everybody pays attention to. But do not overlook Atlanta and do not overlook Texas, because the Rangers were, in the thick of things for a hot minute. And so what my point in all this is, there's no days off here this week, Eric. When we look at that schedule, do you see this going about 50-50?
I'd say you got to go a little bit more than 50-50 after losing 2 to the Reds, and you didn't get the series, but the Reds were playing very good baseball, so I feel like they can be a team to look out for, honestly. But you got Atlanta, tonight and the next couple games. You got those. Those are must wins. I wouldn't say you got to sweep them, but you at least got to win the series with that. And then the other ones, you got to feel out how you're going to play. Everything's different when you're coming into May. It's going to get a little bit warmer. It might be a little bit more rainy. You got to see what's going to happen. But at least you got to go, I'd say 60-40. You got to bounce back a little bit against the Reds.
I really feel like the Atlanta series will really set the tone, because from where I'm sitting, like, that is the team I'm most worried about here this next week. They are sitting on top
They
of
are a
the
good team.
NL East by 7 games. Like, I mean, they're 20-9 right now.
Yeah.
They are on fire.
Yeah.
And Texas is sitting in second place, a game and a half behind the Athletics. And then Boston, although they're at the bottom of the AL East right now at 12-17, there's still a dangerous team. There's still a lot of talent on there, and if anybody is overlooking the Red Sox based on that, don't. A series win over them would be huge, but man, it's going to be that
it's huge,
Atlanta, series.
Would it be crazy if the A's? Would it be crazy if the A's went to the World Series because they don't have a home right now and they're in Sacramento?
What would happen? I mean, obviously, the move to Las Vegas
it'd be nuts.
is
It'd be nuts.
inevitable. But god damn, if they were to get that one window of opportunity,
That would be nuts.
It would be.
Yeah, that one window, and they just somehow make it to the World Series when they don't have a home right now.
I
think I did hear something that.
Go ahead, Tim.
What did you hear, Tim?
I did hear something. Somebody was saying something online. I was looking into it that if the A's actually make it to the postseason, they're not going to be playing in Sacramento. They'll move to a bigger stadium for the postseason. So,
well, probably, but still, it'd be nuts that they're playing in Sacramento and somehow they make it to the World Series.
Well, I mean, they have a home. They just don't have a damn stadium yet.
It's just like when Minnesota was playing at the college campus. It wasn't the same.
Yeah.
No, certainly not. But if they were to if they were to win the World Series, I mean, clearly, that is really reaching.
No, that'd be nuts.
If they would, you look at the history of the World Series. It's like 1975, the Cincinnati Reds; 1984, the Detroit Tigers; 2009, New York Yankees; 2026, Athletics. Like, where the fuck was this team at? So I don't know. That whole thing is just so goddamn weird to me. Just weird. All right, Addison. Aside from Cubs, aside from White Sox, is there another team out there that you're really focused on and paying attention to that you have some sort of fanfare for?
I like San Diego's ball club. I always like watching Machado at the plate, but I mostly am on the Cubs and White Sox. Like those have been my ball clubs from day one. I follow the game all right, but like the Cubs ball club, I've been a little bummed ever since they got rid of Bellinger, because I thought that ball club really looked like they were meshing. I was starting to get it, and like given they have tons of talent. Balsoneros just hit his first grand slam, so there's plenty to look forward to. But I want to see a bit more from the Cubbies. Ever since that World Series win, it's been shockingly obvious that we have owners that are from the previous century, because they aren't spending money on high-profile players. And to be honest, there's no reason we shouldn't have been able to retain Bellinger, Kyle Tucker, and theoretically Bregman and whoever else comes next.
Right. No, I totally agree with you on that. That 2016 team was something special, something that, that like, I've been a fan of the Cubs for the longest time because I felt bad for them, and then they got good, and then they won. And I can only imagine what that euphoria was like for somebody like you, that has real personal ties to the city.
I'll be honest,
and to this
I was
team.
in college during finals week. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I was in college during my finals week, and I could not have been louder. I was the worst neighbor anyone's ever had for about a full week, so that is totally fine by me. I'm happy for the Cubbies. I want to see more of it, but you got to put money into those ball clubs. You got to get out there. Wrigley Field always gets packed, and that's the reason why I want to see more talent on the ball club.
Could not agree more. There's still a lot of hope, a lot of anticipation, a lot of fanfare for our team here in Detroit with the Tigers. However, when you make the switch over to another team here in the city of Detroit that is still playing, although on borrowed time as it seems like right now, let's make the transition to the National Basketball Association where the Eastern Conference playoffs are going on. And holy shit. We are looking at a 3-1 deficit right now going into tomorrow night's game in Detroit. They were able to win game 2 with a 98-83 win on Wednesday, but Saturday dropping 113 to 105, and then last night 94-88, and it has everybody not only scratching their heads but asking the question is, what in the hell is going on with this team, and why can they not perform in the postseason? Now, I personally am not going to jump off the bandwagon. Is this bad? Yes, this is bad. If they were able to take this to the limit and even advance to the second round, which theoretically would be against Boston, it just does not look good. However, I would like to remind folks that historically speaking, that the same scenario happened in 2013 where the top seeded Pistons went down 3-1 to the 8th seeded Orlando Magic, and the Pistons were able to win it in 7 games. Tim, how likely is that scenario where we could see that happen again?
So the problem that I have with that scenario, and I mean, it could happen. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the Pistons have been the best team in the East all season long. They never dipped from that. Like they've been tremendous. But Orlando has been making the Pistons play their game. They've been speeding up that gameplay, and I've said this a million times. As soon as you speed up the Pistons and try to make them play fast, they get sloppy. I mean, last night they had 20 turnovers in that game. Like it was a sloppy mess. And if they continue to, get the Pistons to play like that, I think this could be over tomorrow night, unfortunately. But if the Pistons could turn this thing around and slow this game down and play their game, they got an opportunity to where they could win the next 3 straight, and honestly, that's what they have to do to get to the next round. Now, if they can get hot, can they carry another round? Possibly, because momentum's a hell of a thing. But like right now, it's not looking very good because they don't have any of the momentum. Orlando has it all currently, and they're playing hot and they're on fire. Now they got to come back to LCA tomorrow, so hopefully the Pistons can win their second ever playoff game at LCA. So we need them to do something, and we need them to wake up. And Duran needs to show the fuck up because he hasn't showed up at all in the playoffs. And they're talking about, should he get a big extension? Should we pay this guy a bunch of fucking money to stay here? Well, maybe if he starts showing up, because right now he forgot that it was the playoffs currently. Addison, you been following any of this series?
Yeah. So in baseball, I'm Cubs true and true, but in basketball, I haven't had anything to watch in about 10 years. So I've definitely been wishcasting through the Pistons a little bit here. Like, my mom's a big Pistons fan. She's been a big Pistons fan ever since, quote, Michael Jordan was soft. So I've been following you guys, and the biggest thing that I was going to bring up is that Durant has been awful. It has been terrible to watch, and I just hate it because he's been fantastic throughout the regular season. I actually was rooting for the big contract. I've always thought that he was a talented player. I wanted to see it kind of work out for you guys. But, oh my goodness, this has been a brutal series to watch. I hope that you guys can come back from it. I hope you beat Boston. I mean, Tatum and Jaylen Brown got their moment in the sun. I'm kind of rooting for the Pistons this year, too. And the most important fact on this, and the thing that hurts me the most, every player that leaves the Bulls becomes fantastically good at basketball immediately. And another one of those guys is on the Orlando Magic and Wendell Carter Jr., who could not rebound to save his life in a Chicago Bulls uniform. And given most of that is probably on Jim Boylan, it's probably not on him, but he has been absolutely wrecking Durant in the paint. Every game.
Yeah.
How are you guys feeling about it? Are you guys managing?
Eric, how you feeling about the Pistons currently?
They're done. Dern hasn't showed up at all in the series. He hasn't shown. I don't want to say it, but I'm being a realist. He's done. They're done. It's literally all on Cade again, like it was a year ago, and that's what's happening. Cade doesn't have a number 2, so and Duran's just not showing up at all. He's not performing at all like he did this season. The 61 season's out the door. Our coach is fucking 10-21 in the postseason. You wonder why Cleveland let him go. So yeah, you need to get Cunningham a number 2. He doesn't have a number 2 right now. And that's what we were talking about all season. Who was his number 2? We thought Duran was. Duran hasn't showed up at all when it matters. At all.
Yeah, that's huge. You have to show up now if you're going to show up at all. And it's just, I mean, it's a stark contrast to compared to the Pistons that we saw playing through the entire regular season. And on top of that, I brought this up on Catching Up with Cody last night. Where is that energy that they played with when, Cade was out hurt? That energy's gone. Like, everything is on Cade right now. And they proved that they could play without Cade. So now all of a sudden Cade's back there, leading on the floor, and they just forget how to fucking play. Like, I don't get it. I don't. The energy's gone. It's just sucked right out of the building. And Scott, I know you've been saying it all season long, man. Like, all season long that they were gonna just fall apart in the playoffs because of Bickerstaff. And I mean, it looks like you could be right now. We're one game away from you being 100% right. But yeah, I'm highly disappointed with the gameplay, but I still think, there's a small chance they could turn this thing around, but they got to play their game. They need to slow down. Like, literally, Detroit.
It's not even their game. They got to show up.
Well, you got to show up.
Why was Thomas out and Duran played more minutes when Thomas was playing better? Yeah. Answer that question. Why was he out and Duran played most of the minutes and Thomas played, I think, 17 minutes and Duran played 30?
Well, that's a question you're gonna have to ask Bickerstaff.
Well, then you
put it out there in the world.
That's why he's 10-21 in the postseason.
Yeah.
Make that call. What are you doing? You need to get Cunningham a number 2 next year. If we don't advance after this series, even if we did, is it going to matter? If we're going up against Boston, is it even going to matter?
So let me ask you this: if they fall apart like completely and they lose tomorrow night and go out in the first round after a performance like that, is Bickerstaff's job in jeopardy?
He won Coach of the Year, so I don't know.
That's a hard one because that's
Eiserman's still employed by the Red Wings, so let me just put that there.
I mean, that is a good point right there, and that's I don't think going to change anytime soon.
Nope.
Jason, do you think Bickerstaff could be in some trouble here?
No, the Coach of the Year thing bought him another year. 100%. It's frustrating because we talked about this with the Red Wings in the fact that we watched them completely shit the bed after All-Star, after the Olympic break. And we were questioning, where does the blame go? Does it go to upper management? Does it go to the coaching staff? Does it go to the players? Eric and I sat here, dissected everything, and kind of felt like, look, what the product was on the ice was dog shit. That's on the players. They did not bring the energy. And that's what I thought about when you said, Tim, a little bit ago, where is the energy that this team had when Cunningham was out with injury or his illness or what have you, the collapsed lung thing. Yeah, some of it goes to the coach, but at the same time, he's not the one on the court. He's not the one, playing the game. And there's enough. It's just such a weird contrast. How is it you could be so goddamn good during the regular season, but when it matters, you completely forget how to play basketball? Orlando, to what Eric was saying, is making the Pistons play their game. And that's why when they come into LCA tomorrow, I'm sorry, Tim. When they come into LCA, they need to come in with that sense of urgency, with that chip on the shoulder, they need to dive into the whole bad boys thing here. And for the fans who are coming in and watching this team tomorrow, you need to bring the energy. Because once you get that stadium rocking, man, the Pistons are hard to beat. You got to take Orlando off their A game in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, but even if you win tomorrow to LCA, don't get me wrong, the Palace sounds way better. Just throwing that out there, playing at the
100%.
Palace. But you go to LCA tomorrow and you don't win, or if Orlando wins and all that, that's horrible. But if you can win tomorrow at home, then you gotta go back to Orlando. Can you steal one at home when it really matters? And you couldn't even get one when you were there for 2 in a row. So what would really happen? And then you're gonna play either the Cavs or I think it was the Knicks in the next series. And yeah, we've beaten the Knicks every game this year, but who's gonna show up then? What is gonna happen? No one's showing up right now. The 60-win season's out the window. You're 1-3 right now. That's all that matters. You're 1-3.
I feel you. And while you're sitting there talking about people showing up, I wanted to bring this up because you know who has shown up in the postseason so far this year, and it doesn't play for Detroit, but fucking 41-year-old LeBron James has come out of nowhere with a complete career resurgence. It's carrying the Lakers on his back currently with Luka out. Who's out? They got Reeves out also. And he's just out there carrying that team right now. LeBron is on fire, like absolutely on fire. Edison, you been catching any of that series at all?
I have. As a guy who's constantly been in the Jordan LeBron argument my whole life, like a big part about living in Chicago is having arguments about who's better, Michael Jordan or LeBron James. It's kind of crazy to watch a player who truly, we saw the decline this year. I wasn't surprised. I was like, oh, he's 41 years old. It's finally happening. Happened to every other 41-year-old athlete. All of a sudden, he can play defense again, too. The rebounding's there, the effort level's there, and he blocked out a freaking defender so that his son could score some points. He's so good that he can manifest points for his son. It's freaking incredible. I could not be more impressed, but I don't think that team has the wherewithal to keep this up, but I mean, many people have doubted LeBron James before. I'm not going to be another one to say something silly on a podcast that reminds me that I don't know how good that guy is.
No, I'm right there with you. We've had that debate a million times on this fucking podcast on, who's the GOAT? Is it Jordan or LeBron? And I mean, we're on the Jordan side, but I think it's, it's an age thing also, you know what I mean? I'm old enough that I grew up watching Michael Jordan. I got to see Michael Jordan play live against the Pistons in '96, you know what I mean? Like that was my hero growing up. It was Jordan. Is the best to ever play the game. And all of a sudden LeBron comes on, and everybody's got that argument about LeBron, but we've had this argument a million times. Jason can, fill in on this too. Like, could LeBron play in Jordan's league? I don't think so. It was a different league back then. It was rougher. You know what I mean? Everything was a lot more physical than what it is now and a lot more exciting to watch, to be honest. And that's why I really dig college basketball a lot more now, because it reminds me of, 80s and 90s of basketball with the physicality. But yeah, I got to put that because could LeBron do it? Possibly. I don't know. You know what I mean? He is the king of the flop, and flopping didn't work back in the day, so I don't know. But Jordan was something special. And I always Jordan's the GOAT in my eyes. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, I mean, Curry's making a case for himself at this point. But, the Warriors need to at least get one more before it's even a conversation in my mind.
Yeah.
I would
think
agree
that
with
dynasty's
that.
over.
Yeah,
unfortunately, I think that dynasty's over.
It doesn't have.
When you see a video of Steve
cachet
Kerr
as it did.
hugging all the guys and saying, "Hey, it was a hell of a run," that shows that he's understanding it's over because he was in that era with Jordan. He knew he was in there for the highs, he's for their lows, and now he's letting his guys know, like, hey, we had one hell of a run of being one of the best teams in the NBA for, you could argue, for 10 years. You really could argue for 10 years. You're in the conversation every year that you could win a championship. That's a long time.
Question for you guys. Hey, when is it time to stop trying to build a team around Joel Embiid? Like, that's the thing that keeps blowing my mind, that Philly just keeps coming back to the table and they're like, you know what? Embiid's the centerpiece. we got a couple other guys in there. Maxey's in there, and obviously Paul George, the husk of Paul George, is still playing. I just don't think Embiid's going to be a part of a championship run. I'm ready to just cut the cord on that if I'm Philly.
I guess you'd have to say what kind of pieces do you need around him for him to win? Is he the problem, or can you get some players around him that can mesh well with him, and can you get past that hump? You know, that's what really is going to come down to, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same opinion as you.
Yeah, you gotta find players that can mesh with him, and can you get over that hump that you guys can't get past right now? Like right now, you're 3-1 down against Boston. Okay, well, would it be different if you had Detroit? Maybe, but who knows?
Yeah, who knows there? But yeah, there's got to be a time when the team...
if they weren't playing Boston in the first round of the playoffs, what conversation are they having behind the scenes? Because we can all agree, we all have agreed.
Exactly.
The Boston Celtics, I mean, the Eastern Conference is pretty much theirs for the taking. It's just a matter of who are they going to eliminate on the way to.
Yeah, once you get your best player back, and he's playing great too. That's the problem. He's playing phenomenal.
Let's do a quick recap or update on the NBA playoffs, and we'll look real quick at what's happening with the Stanley Cup playoffs, and then we'll get into the draft talk here. Oklahoma City has already advanced to the next round on the Western side. Lakers 3-1 lead over the Rockets. The surprise series for me right now, Minnesota is 1 win away from eliminating the Denver Nuggets. They have a 3-2 lead in that series, and San Antonio 3-1 over the Portland Trailblazers. On the Eastern side, we've already talked about the Pistons and the Magic. Series tied between the Cavaliers and the Raptors, and the Knicks and the Hawks. And Boston, of course, 3-1 lead over the 76ers. Over on the NHL side of things and the Western side, the Colorado Avalanche have swept the Kings of Los Angeles. They await the winner of Dallas and Minnesota. That series is tied at 2 games apiece, as is the Vegas and Utah series. And Anaheim has a 3-1 lead over Edmonton. On the Eastern side, 3-1 lead for the
crazy.
Yeah. Buffalo Sabres over the Boston Bruins, 3-1. Tampa Bay and Montreal are tied at 2 games apiece. Carolina Hurricanes have swept the Ottawa Senators. They will await the winner of the Flyers and the Penguins. The Flyers with a 3-2 lead in that series. So the NHL playoffs are shaping up pretty much how we expected. The NBA, a little bit more of a shakeup, especially with Minnesota and Denver. So next week's show is really going to paint a broader or a more specified picture as to what the second round of the playoffs in both of these respective sports will be. With that, Tim, let's turn it over to you, because last week the main event was the NFL draft. What's that?
Addison, are you a big Blackhawks fan? I'm very curious, honestly, about that.
I was a big Blackhawks fan. I followed them a bit this year. At the beginning, it was pretty fun. I got to catch a game at United Center, but got a hat trick. It was great. It was really fun, and they kind of crumbled. I'm hoping that they'll start putting it together. I don't want to say I'm a bandwagon fan. I'm a bit of a bandwagon fan, though, with the Blackhawks.
Well, at least you can admit it. So what? You probably started following them when they were good, back when they had Patrick Kane and all that. So
I followed them religiously for like 2 years until the entire dynasty collapsed, and I kept following it for a full year, and then had a full time and took a break for it. I'm hoping to get back into it. I'm hoping to get back in. United Center is a great place to watch a hockey game too. So
I
can't hate it.
I'm honestly hoping one day there will be a Blackhawks and Red Wings Stanley Cup. I really am. Because I think that'd be one hell of a series.
That was a big rivalry back in the day.
100%.
Yeah, that was always some good hockey right there. But yeah, Jason, let's talk about the biggest thing in sports last week. There, we had the NFL draft, which I was pretty excited.
I thought we were talking about the Masters.
No, that was like 3 weeks, a month ago. Where the fuck have you been, bro? Like, he's on a different fucking planet. Like, that shit was like a month ago. Oh, I was still stuck on you, wasn't I?
Yeah, that's
I'm
why
not paying because it's not my. Okay, so I'm having
Pay
technical
attention, pay
difficulties
attention.
here. Like, you guys are not on my TV right now, so we're staring at, we're watching like basketball coverage right now while we're talking to you guys. So because something's going on with my damn TV and my HDMI cords going to the TV. So yeah, we're trying to act like we're staring at you guys. We're really not.
Now
but-
we're watching a commercial on Roundup. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a Kia commercial now. Like, you should be driving a Kia,
Place Kia.
Yeah, no, this like to me, to be honest, this was an exciting draft. Like, from the start to front, the production of it, like everything else, like this draft was absolutely amazing. And I want to get into it. And first, I'm gonna go to Addison because I'm assuming you're in Chicago. You got to be a Bears fan. You got to be pretty excited about this draft. Yeah,
Gay.
I can see it back there. You're not on my TV, so you're just this little tiny thing right here.
Oh,
so it's
that's
hard to see. Yeah, it's hard to see exactly what you got in the background there, bro. Yeah, you guys had a pretty good fucking draft. Let me know how you felt about it.
I was a huge fan, personally. I thought some of the picks were a little weird. In hindsight, I'm starting to understand them. So, like, Fenneman, love that. Like, we need an athletic safety. I'm a big spreadsheet guy myself, so a guy that's running a good 40, good 3-cone drill. I'm going to be more in on that prospect in general. And we needed secondary help. The guys we had out there weren't playing enough. Logan Jones seemed like a weird pick at the time, but thinking about it, Garrett Bradbury's going to be out of there pretty soon. The one that weirded me out, and this one like hurt me personally because I interviewed this guy at the Senior Bowl. Like, I got to talk to him. Super neat dude, really fun. We got to talk about guitar a little bit. Big Radiohead fan. Sam Rapp out of Stanford. Super chill dude, but we have Komet. We have Colston Loveland. Like, why do we need a third tight end? He is the best run blocking tight end in this class. So this is a Ben Johnson sort of pick, and we're getting that sort of Detroit Lions sort of setup for a draft. Like, you guys are used to it. You got to see it with Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell for a couple of years. So it was nice to like be able to piece the puzzle together. Now, with Xavion Thomas, I'm a little bit lukewarm, but our return game could have done better last year. So I understand the pick, and the rest of the draft are just depth pieces. So, I was pretty happy with it. And it was really a fun draft to watch in general. Ton of trades this year. And to be honest, my favorite part of the entire draft must have been watching Sean McVay have the most awkward press conference I've ever seen in my entire life. He clearly did not want Ty Simpson.
No, especially first round when you're on the cusp of, being a super. I mean, they're favored to go to the Super Bowl this year, and they take a quarterback in the first round that's not going to play for probably at least, I imagine, 2 to 3 years.
Did you see his call with Ty Simpson when they drafted him?
Yeah, he did not sound happy.
And what did Ty Simpson say? Let's go change the world. And he goes, yeah, no. Yeah. And it's just like, it's like, wow, dude. Like, you at least let him know, like, hey, this is Stafford's team still. And it's like, that's crazy. Like, yeah, no. Like, just shut it down.
And it should be Stafford. I mean, he's getting a little bit older, but he's still playing at a super high fucking level. I mean, he was MVP last year.
Yeah.
Like, why are you? It's gotta be a little butthurt for Stafford there too. To draft a quarterback in the first round as a replacement for him. But it's like, when is this guy gonna fucking play?
Well, think about it. Fucking Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love, like the GM's just looking ahead and all that. And and if you had any interviews about. If you heard any interviews about Brett Favre and when they drafted Aaron Rodgers, they were not friends at all. Brett Favre did not give a fuck about teaching him anything.
Yeah.
But he still did learn. But so maybe Stafford will be a little bit better on that. But even though I heard they're talking about giving Stafford another contract extension.
Yeah. So was that a wasted draft pick? Addison, what do you think about that pick, man? Like, it's wild.
Man, I just don't get it in general. Like, Ty Simpson's fine. Don't get me wrong. Like, he can play. He had kind of my favorite stat for a college quarterback in this class because it was the most interesting one. Number one in the draft class in passes over 30 yards.
Okay.
Last in the draft class in passes between 20 and 30 yards. So it's a weird dichotomy where it's like you wonder if that's the system or if the player. So in Sean McVay's offense, theoretically, that should really work out. But, dude, I don't know. You got to buy in and just take the lumps. Like, be okay with the fact that after you get close to winning a championship or win one, that you might not have a quarterback. Like, that's fine.
Yeah,
2027 is the best quarterback class that we've had in some time. You could get Mestmaker at pick 10 and you'd be great.
Yeah, but didn't they have 2 draft picks in the first round?
They did.
They had
They
Atlanta's.
did.
You probably could have got that quarterback at your later pick and got a good player to help. Yeah, so
You
that
could have
definitely.
Mekhi Levin.
Yeah, you definitely could have got a player that probably could contributed right away with that 13th overall pick and got someone and got him later on, but I don't know who they picked in the later round, so maybe he'll be able to help out too. I have no idea.
Yeah, that was an absolute wild.
It was interesting.
Yeah, it was absolutely wild. But back on track for Chicago there, Addison, if you had to give, we were doing this last night, but if you had to give a grade for Chicago's draft class right there, what would you give it?
B minus, C plus. I feel good about it. I don't feel great. But you shouldn't feel good about it. If your team's at the bottom of the first round, you should be having a mid draft.
Yeah,
That's fair.
it's kind of funny because, like I said, I was on with a Chicago guy last night on the Fun Football podcast, and he kind of had the same the same scenario, the same thing, and he's a big Chicago guy, same everything about what you just said right there, and he gave about the same grade. I think he gave a flat B though. It was either a B or a B minus. I can't remember.
I could see a B because they did get a really good safety. That safety's going to be a plug and play. He's probably going to start day one. I can see that.
Yeah. All right, so I want to cover Detroit's draft right now because obviously we are big Detroit guys, and I was overall pretty happy with this draft. It kind of, I've been saying for months what they should do, and they did exactly what I thought that they should do, but I didn't anticipate that they were going to do what I thought that they should do. So it kind of blew my mind when they took Blake Miller, a right tackle, at number 17. Like I figured, I thought they were going to go Proctor.
That didn't really surprise me. They needed a tackle. It didn't really surprise me.
Yeah, but I didn't think they were going to go right.
They needed a tackle. It didn't matter. They needed one at right or left, and Panay can go left or right. So you already have a Swiss Army knife there. So if you drafted a right like Blake Miller, you're fine.
So picture this way. The way that I thought that they were going to do it, because it's typical Brad Holmes, I thought they were going to draft Freeling. Proctor was already off the board, but Freeling was still sitting there, and he's a big-bodied left tackle. Now, I've been saying for months and months that they needed to draft a right tackle.
Where was he out? Where was he out of?
Oh, shit. I can't remember.
Okay, that's fine.
I can't remember where Freeling was out of. Big body, though. Big body. Huge guy.
Was that the dude from out of Alabama?
No, that was Proctor.
UGA.
Okay.
Yeah. Freeling's from UGA. So
Okay.
Georgia.
Okay. So Georgia. Okay.
And I think he went directly right after the Lions picked Blake Miller. Did he go
2 picks after to Carolina?
To Carolina. But I thought that was the way they were going to go. Now I wanted them to take a right tackle because I wanted to see Panay move to left tackle. Obviously, that's his natural spot. That's what he played all through college. That's where he was always comfortable. He never played right tackle till he came to Detroit, and obviously he succeeded there. Maybe arguably became the best right tackle in the league.
Reality
at that point.
Reality with that one pick Brad Holmes made at 17, he just restored the whole line. If you really think about it, you're putting Panay at left, so you got to find a left guard. And
we have a left guard, Mahogany.
Mahogany, yeah, he'll get better because he's against Sewell. Then you have Cade Mays at center. That's a true center. Then you got Tate Rallage that just got better throughout the year last year, and now you have a stud, right tackle that played 54 games at Clemson, not a small school. That offensive line is going to be, it's pretty young, so it's definitely not what it was 2 years ago, but it's going to be right there, I feel like.
Yeah, I think that was a smart move. And then for the rest of this draft, I thought they did really well. They addressed a lot of needs that they need. There was only one that kind of blew my mind, but they took Derek Moore in edge. I think he's going to be solid opposite of.
And they traded up for it too.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a solid pick right there. Opposite of Aiden.
Oh yeah.
I was talking. I'm not going to be surprised if he ends up with 11, 12 sacks this year. Aiden gets doubled a lot, so it's going to give him a lot of opportunity. I wish he was a little bit better against the run, so we'll see how he develops there. He's not as good against the run, but he's a hell of a pass rusher. And then they took Jimmy Rolder out of Michigan too, a linebacker.
Yep.
He's going to fill that spot that
he's a very sideline linebacker.
Yeah, he's fast. He attacks the ball. He gets on the ball. Like with Anzalone gone, I think he's going to fill that spot very good. They took a cornerback and Keith. Oh fuck! I can't even read my handwriting.
Yeah, but that
Keith
Abney.
Abney.
yeah, but
Abney,
that gives me like, does that give me worry about Taron Arnold? Is he just?
Well, no, you need a depth in that spot, anyways.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
Taron Arnold has. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, well, he's got
Makes me worry about that.
the possible legal troubles, but you also need a depth in that position.
Yeah, but then that makes you think you wasted a pick on him. A couple years ago, you wasted a pick on Taron Arnold. He is not. Granted, corner is probably the second hardest position to play in the NFL. If I had to say anything about it, but he is not. Is this just like, is that like his kind of replacement? Because the dude they did pick from, I think was played at Arizona State, was a pretty good corner.
He played. I actually have these all fucking written down.
I believe.
He was Arizona State.
Yeah,
he was actually
played,
really good, and he was actually a steal.
Yeah. So I think he
in the fifth.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. The fifth round pick is going to be hard to take a number one, or overall pick or a first round pick, but we'll see. Taron Arnold to me is up in the air, and that makes me feel better about Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch, because they didn't take a safety.
No, and that's what, and that was a need that I thought they needed because of the injuries and, not knowing exactly what's going to happen with Kirby. So obviously they feel pretty positive about Kirby at this point by not.
What we can tell. We haven't heard anything, but what we can tell.
Yeah. Well, Brad did say they're both on track. So
okay.
He did say in a press conference that both those guys are on track and they're looking good. The next pick kind of, I was up in the air on. They took Kendrick Law, wide receiver, in the fifth round. Another wide receiver. Now
you need a return man because
that's exactly. Yeah, you need a return man. Even though I'm more strong on Kennedy being that return man, because when he was put in that position last year, he did really, really well with it. So I mean, this might be a depth piece for that. And also, you don't have Raymond, so you need that fourth target. A rotational piece you can throw on that line. And then they took Skylar Gill Howard, and then Tyree West, both defensive tackles, so you're going to have some interior, defensive tackles in there that you need some depth at because we did lose some pieces there. I thought this was an overall pretty good draft for addressing the needs that they needed. The only thing I was kind of hoping they'd pick up at least, one more lineman. I thought we needed a little bit more depth at the line.
Well, they did do the undrafted, all that. So I think they picked up a couple more then.
They did, but how are those going to thing? But
you never know.
Me overall, I'll give a grade in a second. Addison, how do you think Detroit did here?
I mean, I was just waiting for my chance to talk about Derek Moore. So went to the Senior Bowl this year.
Interrupt at any time, man. Interrupt any time. Go for it.
Derek Moore, I have it queued up, man. This guy was so freaking dominant at the Senior Bowl, and given the D line was a lot better, this was a better defensive class. Didn't he put the
Miami tackle on his ass?
Oh yeah.
Yep. Okay.
It was freaking awesome to watch. He was fantastic out there. And to be honest, you saw him absolutely dominating in the run game, which was what I was looking for from him because he can sack. So when you guys got him at 44, I was like, oh, that's an excellent pick. I thought that guy was going to rise up the board at 6'3", 260. You got a defensive end that can move that quickly. I could see that guy going first round. So I loved your guys' draft class. I think you're immediately back into contention in the NFC North. I'm a huge fan. And it was good to see Dan Campbell not listen to his demons and take a linebacker at 17.
No, I'm right there with you. So I think if I had to give him a grade for this, I said this last night. I think I'm going to go a B, just a straight B. You know what I mean? I wanted a little bit more offensive line help. Jason, do you got anything to queue up here, man? You've been sitting there quiet. How'd you feel how this draft went?
Yeah, banana man.
It's why. Listen, I didn't watch the draft. I read all the results after the fact, read the feedback, saw some things on TikTok and Twitter. By and large, it seems like people are overall pretty pleased with the draft picks. And like Addison had just said, it was nice to see Dan Campbell get out of his comfort zone in terms of his selections. I looked over at Pro Football Talk, and they actually graded this class an A-, and with the Tennessee Titans having the best draft class of this year. So, when you get graded an A-, and it echoed what Addison had said, this puts the Lions back in contention for the NFC North. that's exactly what Pro Football Talk said as well. So hopefully that materializes on the field. Because I mean, we can sit here and speculate all day long, but until they put the pads on and they start doing some shit, that's all it is speculation. So let's wait and see what happens here.
Eric, how'd you feel about it?
I'd say a solid B plus. I want to go. Honestly, no, I want to go A. I want to go A. I want to go A because you didn't go after the best player available. You went at what you needed, and I think Brad Holmes killed it. And I honestly think after this draft, I think he's going to probably start going that way. If it really goes out how it's going to go, and if your team can jump back into contentions like everyone thinking we are, I think he'll start changing up his draft selections that way. And if he does that, then the sky's the limit for Detroit, honestly, because you already have that foundation. And you just keep adding what you need, and you start replacing, you'll be okay.
Yeah, I could get behind that. Like, I'm pretty solidly happy with it. But, they had Tennessee listed at the top there. And I want to get to Addison here in a second about who he thought had the best draft overall. Because I know I have my pick and who I think did the best and who's going to be, a contender here probably in the next couple of years. But, Addison, who do you think did the best in this draft this year?
It pains me to say this because they've been such an inept ball club for so many years, but the Cleveland Browns had arguably the best draft class in this year's pick. I absolutely love Casey Concepcion at that pick. I was a little worried he'd end up on a ball club where he ended up as more of a gimmicky guy, but they got a typical alpha wide receiver in Boston behind him. They got late in the draft Joe Royer, who I think is really an underrated tight end. I got to interview Cyrus Allen, but Joe Royer was also in that Cincy ball club, and they had the future gym teachers of America throwing the ball around. So it was really cool to see those guys actually get real NFL opportunities because they really didn't get a lot of chances in college. And then they end off with Taylor Green to give them an actual QB option. Like, given Taylor Green could easily be Anthony Richardson and a little bit worse. Like, the Senior Bowl, he was kind of mid too at times, but boy, is he athletic. So, they're giving themselves a chance to win. And it's fun to see that because their ball club hasn't done that in about 10 years.
Yeah, I think you just became best friends with our buddy Vinny over at Just Another Sports Fan because that's his favorite team there. So he's probably pretty excited. We got to talk to him about how he thought this draft turned out. But I could get behind that. You know what I mean? I think they made some good moves, and it looks like they are building for the future. I think they grabbed another pretty solid edge too, didn't they? I think somewhere in there.
They got a couple tackles in there. They got Spencer Fano. They got Austin Barber. I don't think they got edge. They got McNeil Warren, the safety out of Toledo.
Okay, so yeah, they're stacking up right there, and I mean you got Myles Garrett there, so I mean they're solid at the position anyways.
Also, they aren't going for a Super Bowl this year.
No, you still. I mean,
hope not.
if you tank one more year, even if that quarterback doesn't work out, you know what I mean. Like there's a draft class next year is full of quarterbacks, So you could do that. Eric, who do you think did the best in this draft this year?
That's honestly, it's hard for me to answer. I didn't pay too much attention to it, but I'm gonna honestly, like what the information I've got, I'd have to go to the Giants. The Giants, they've definitely changed it up a lot, and they definitely, trading away some players and getting the 10th pick. They had quite a few picks and all that. They added a lot of good players, and they added some good ones, and that late a free agency when they got Jim Harbaugh. So I think, or John Harbaugh, my bad, but I think they're going to be honestly a very tough team to play because Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo already were turning it around last year. They added some pieces, and they could be a very, very tough team to play.
I mean, I am right there with you because that's exactly who I thought made some big moves in this draft, and I thought they were on the edge last year. I mean, Jackson Dart looked like a stud last year, and like Cam Scadaboo is an absolute animal, but grabbing Arvell Reese, first round, and then at the 10th pick, picking up a solid tackle I think they're really moving. They grabbed a cornerback, another wide receiver, another defensive tackle. I mean, they loaded up on the line, they loaded up on the defensive line. They grabbed a little bit of defense help. I think New York made some splashes in this thing, and I think they're the ones that you're gonna have to. Maybe not this year, you know what I mean? It's gonna take a year or two to build off of this, but it's such a young team that I think they're going to be dangerous in about 2 to 3 years with a possible Super Bowl run.
In reality, what did the Colts do? Because the Colts were so good last year, and then when Danny Dimes got hurt, they went downhill. They might be someone to watch out for too, honestly. Yeah. I didn't even see what they did.
I didn't even pay attention either because it's the Colts, and you still can't trust Danny Dimes. I mean,
if he didn't get hurt, they would have been.
Who knows, man?
They would have definitely beat the Patriots.
But I can't say much because I never thought Sam Darnold would do shit either. So
exactly,
all of a sudden, it's crazy. But I mean, do you agree? You think the Giants did pretty good there, Addison?
Yeah, I think they did pretty well. I wish they would have gotten Caleb Downs, but I also
they should have drafted Caleb Downs. That was a dumb move to let him to go to Chicago. Or no, the Cowboys.
Dallas.
Cowboys.
How are you guys feeling about? Have you guys been following Malik Neighbors and what he's been saying about the Giants draft?
No, I haven't.
No, what did he say?
So he led off by storming out of the room when they didn't take Caleb Downs at 10. Mm-hmm. Absolutely left. He was like, they should have taken Caleb. Livid. And then he also went on, and when they took Carnell Tate, he was like, worst pick of the draft, He never been a number one wide receiver, just running his mouth. I'm surprised to see it because Malik Neighbors seems like such a stand-up guy with the fact that he's been on some pretty bad ball clubs the past couple of years, but he has given Evo receiver a bit more than I expected. I'm interested to see if Jackson Dart can adapt to that, or if he's going to get Odell Beckham. Baker did.
I know.
That's one of those things that sometimes receivers, they can come across of a little bit of a diva position. But you brought up Caleb Downs there, and then talking about Dallas. Dallas made some moves this year.
Dallas did pretty good in the draft. I'll give Jerry Jones. He did pretty good.
I mean, how should we be threatened, in the NFC with Dallas this year, or is it still just Jerry Jones and he's not going to win again? That team needs to be sold, or, God forbid that he passes away and he gets put on to somebody else, because that whole club is just ran kind of, he's still running it like it's the 90s. It's not the 90s anymore, even though, he did pull off some funny moves there. I heard he did some shit with Philly and Pittsburgh there. So with trading down and blocking them from getting somebody.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he pulled that off the Mekhi Lemon trade. One of the funnier phone calls you'll see. Lemon in that room was fully expecting to hear from Pittsburgh and was very surprised when he got Philly on the phone. But their ball club's fun. It's interesting. They took 3 defensive players to start the draft. You don't get that in Dallas a lot of the time, so it should work out. But I'm skeptical as a whole of if Dak Prescott's a guy that can actually get it done. I was the same way with Sam Darnold, so I can be wrong, but boy, I wouldn't want Dak Prescott in a playoff game. I love Caleb Williams in a playoff game. I already have trust there. I don't feel that way when Dak gets the ball on in the fourth quarter.
No, I'm right there with you, and I've always said that Dak chokes in the playoffs, and he has up and down years. And last year he did a little bit of up year, so he's going to have a down year next year. He's up and down every year, you know what I mean? So I think next year he's gonna be down again. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Jason, do you have any? I don't know how much you looked into the draft. Do you have any opinion on who you think did the best in this draft this year?
No, I didn't look that deep into it, Tim, if I can be honest with you. I obviously I looked to see what the Lions did. I looked to see what Carolina did. I was shocked to see the way Pro Football Talk had these things graded. Seeing Tennessee at the top of that list. I was like, well, okay, they obviously know more than I do. But with the Lions, a lot of optimism. With the Panthers, they drafted some decent talent too. So, again, it comes back down to just wait and see how all this, unfolds, and will these picks make that big of a difference? Can it mesh with the team? with the team chemistry, with the philosophy, with the mission. Obviously every team's mission is to go to the Super Bowl, but let's be realistic. There are certain teams that will never sniff that right now because they just don't have it. With Carolina, there seems to be, reading their blogs and things of this nature. There's a strong contingent of Panthers fans that are optimistic with what they've done here. So wait and see what happens.
No, I get that. I just wanted to point out, Dave said in the chat, and he needs to get this 100% right, so I'm going to fix it a little bit for him. But he said he loved when Kevin Costner got all his draft picks back, plus David fucking Putney. So fucking love that movie. Like, that's such an underrated movie. Like, it's probably so far off from what really happens, but shit. Draft Day, great movie. Like, we usually me and the wife watch it every year before the draft. Like, we just enjoy that. But yeah, no, overall exciting draft. I think New York's going to be a threat. I think Dallas made some big moves. Arizona, obviously, they did really well in this draft. We'll have to wait and see with Tennessee because it's Tennessee. You know what I mean? They've had some of the best players in the league on their team and still couldn't turn it into anything. So it's hard to say what that franchise is going to do. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think the biggest moves made in this overall, honestly, we're probably all teams in the NFC North. The only team I'm not really worried about is Minnesota because Kyler Murray's only about 3'7", and it's going to be hard for him to see over that line. So they're not much of a threat. But the other three teams in the North here, I think Detroit did really well. I think Chicago did well, and I think Green Bay did well. And those are three teams that are going to be huge threats. So it's I'm going to say right now, I think it might be one of those years where we see all three of those teams in the playoffs once again. The NFC North is going to take up three of those spots this year, and it's going to be a tough road for all of them and a lot of, split series between those guys. So, Addison, how do you think? You think it's a possibility of all three teams in the postseason this year?
I believe it. I wouldn't have been shocked last year on it either. Detroit is a perennially good ball club at this point. As long as Jared Goff can still keep it together, I think you guys should be in that conversation. Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra are fantastic, and Jahmyr Gibbs is just arguably the best running back in the league. Green Bay, I'm a little bit, I'm lukewarm on. I've seen a lot of people using a lot of metrics that aren't win-loss record to justify why Jordan Love is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And that's cool. Don't get me wrong, it's cool. He's good at throwing the ball deep to wide receivers, but their ball club does not have a true alpha in the building. They have Matt Golden, Jaden Reed, and Christian Watson. I'm inclined to think that they might be a little bit more susceptible. I am on the same page, though. I don't believe Kyler Murray is really a threat.
No, not at all. Dave pointed out in the chat that he thinks every team should have a midget on offense. Those little dudes can get in routes no one else can. That's probably true. They can just run under people, Dave. Eric, any last thoughts on the NFL here?
I do have a scandal that happened that I heard of. Jameson Williams is suing the Big Ten and the SEC for using his name in some, controversy stuff and all that. So he's suing, two of the biggest conferences in the NCAA. So I'm very curious how that's going to play out.
It's all I read up a little bit on it. It's got something to do with image likeness. They're using his image and his likeness and not paying him. So it'll be settled out of court. They'll give him some money, and you're not going to hear much else about
probably.
it. But
the NFL is, after this, it's going to be quiet. We're going to see how training camp goes. We're going to see how that goes, and it's going to be an interesting time. And I'm looking forward to the Tigers doing, seeing how their season goes. And I'm looking forward to. I said it earlier, the Pistons are probably done. If they can turn it around and somehow play like that 60-win team, that'd be fantastic. But other than that, it's Tiger time.
No, you know what time it is.
Oh,
Jason knows what time it is.
Turn it on.
It's that time of the show. It'll be sweet and short. Here's Tim Sheridan with the 2-man goals scored.
This is Tim's 2 Minutes of Golf Talk on the Sports Row Podcast, brought to you by the PFC Entertainment Network. This past weekend, we had the Zurich Classic, which the brothers Matt Fitzpatrick and Alex Fitzpatrick won this thing at 31 under, which actually kind of interesting enough. Alex Fitzpatrick earned his tour card by winning this tournament, and he's exempt on the tour till 2028. So good for him. We're going to be able to see him play in some pretty big tournaments coming up here. In second, we had Wrighton and Ventura. Tied also in second, we had Smalley and Springer, and then we had a two-way tie for fourth with Neargard and Olson, and then Martin and Crow, both at 28 under. It was a fun little tournament there. It's the only tournament on the PGA that has teams on it. So it's fun to watch that with the team format. And then next week we got the Miami Championship coming up, which I've already heard that Rory McIlroy is sitting out of, which is kind of strange because it is a $20 million pot tournament, and he's not going to play in it. So he's deciding to rest up a little bit. Maybe he's getting a little bit older and he's just playing for the majors currently right now. Who knows? But he does need to at least get enough points, in that FedEx Cup tournament to be able to play for that this year. And I'm sure he will, because he's still ranked number 2 in the world. So he's pretty high up there anyways. But that was Tim's 2 Minutes Golf Report, brought to you by the Sports Reel Podcast. Addison, do you watch golf at all?
Not even a little.
Not even a little. That's all good. That's why I keep this to 2 minutes, because that's one thing I do. But
I nodded a lot during, though. I was engaged.
You looked interesting.
That's all that matters.
I had no idea what the hell I was talking.
I usually go to the bathroom when that starts.
I was clearly too interested looking because I got a question afterwards.
Yeah. But so I'll hit some programming notes real quick, and then we'll let Jason do his. This Saturday night, I think I'm going to do the announcement of the Kirby Joseph autographed mini helmet. So I'll be posting that online, that we'll be doing a giveaway for that. So look out for that coming Saturday night. And then next week, May 5th, 6 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have Matt from Lips, Puck, and Chirps and Catching Up with Cody back in studio. So look forward to that show right here on the PFC Entertainment Network on YouTube and Facebook. Jason, what do you got for us?
Well, go ahead and check out the online store if you're digging what we're doing. We've got all kinds of cool merchandise over there. Hats, hoodies, and t-shirts. The new summer lineup is out and more stuff is being added. PFC sportsreel.printify.me, your one-stop shop for all things Sports Reel Podcast. A lot of cool stuff over there. And be sure to check us out on all of our socials. Look for the Sports Reel Podcast and the PFC Entertainment Network on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and TikTok. If you haven't not done so already, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the share button. Do us a solid. We would certainly appreciate it. With that, we appreciate everybody who tuned in. Addison, thank you so much for taking time out to be a part of the show. It was a great pleasure to talk some Chicago baseball with you. So you're welcome back here anytime, my friend. In fact, Vinny and I are going to be doing our next installment of Ball Game here next week, so perhaps we can tag you in on that if you have time. We'll be in contact. So
hell yeah,
all things MLB.
And real quick, real quick before you sign out, Jason, Addison, you want to give your socials one more time?
Oh, totally. And you guys mentioned a giveaway. On League Champ, we are running a NFL jersey giveaway every single week of the season. Would love to see you guys on there. Feel free to check it out. Totally free. We are just trying to promote more analysts that have accurate rankings. I'm all about meritocracy. But check us out at Duck League Champ and at 2 Guys 1 Pod. Really appreciate the PFC Entertainment Network for having me on. And it's been an absolute pleasure, guys. Thank you guys for having me.
And then Jason's got your email now. So, yeah, if you guys do want to link up and you want to go on Ball Game with them this next time,
hell yeah,
Jason will get a hold of you there. So, Jason, anything else, or you want to run the outro?
Nope, that's going to do it for this week. We appreciate everybody who tuned in with us live and those who watched us on demand on the RSS feed on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and wherever you find your podcast. With that, go out this week, be awesome to yourselves and to each other. We'll see you next week right here on the Sports Reel Podcast, live as a part of the PFC Entertainment Network.
Let's fucking go,